Finally, approved states that are sending out stimulus checks to their residents. And what bill was signed? This bill doesn't make any sense. All this information about states, stimulus checks, and politics are in this video. Stay tuned to find out. Hey, what is up, YouTube? Welcome back to another show where we talk about stimulus, politics, things that are going on, Social Security, and things that are happening in this country. We've got some updated news on states that have finally approved stimulus checks for their residents, and we're going to show you right here on the screen. We're also going to talk about a few things about politics, bills that have been signed that really don't make any sense, and President Joe Biden. So guys, we have so much to dive into. Let's dive in. With all the things that are going on with inflation, on this channel, we're going to keep you guys updated on what's going on. I came across a video that really explains exactly why inflation is going on, what caused it, and what's going to help it and literally get rid of inflation. So this video is a little long. It's about 4 minutes, but yet it really is detailed to explain what inflation is all about. I'll play that here just in a minute. But on this channel, we like to do a ton of giveaways, and what we're doing is a $250 giveaway for 2 lucky subscribers on this channel. All you got to do is be subscribed, and when we hit 70K subscribers, we're going to give 2 lucky subscribers $250. And also, guys, we're doing a $100 Visa gift card giveaway. All you have to do is smash that like button and comment the word Visa gift card for your chance to win. We'll hopefully be doing that next week. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Let's talk about this bill that doesn't make any sense. So the governor of California signs law allowing gun violence victims to sue firearm manufacturers for damages. Now, if you're asking my opinion, which of course we're all neutral on this channel, and everybody has a right to their own opinion, to my own opinion, this doesn't make any sense. Here's why. Do we look at all the victims that have killed someone either by drinking in a vehicle, maybe they were speeding, maybe they were do we go back to Toyota or Ford or Chrysler and say, we're going to sue you because this guy, he was drinking and driving and he killed somebody? But it's not the guy driving's fault, it's the manufacturer's fault. So this is what I thought about when he was talking about this bill, because literally there are several gun owners out there literally that know how to use a gun and use it responsibly. And so you're goading. But then they talked about violence and people getting killed by a gun. So the people that are hurting and that they lost somebody, they can turn around and sue the manufacturer for making the gun. At what point does this make any sense? Let me know down in the comments below. So now let's talk about something else. President Joe Biden and President Trump thinking about running in 2024. And here's what they're saying. Most voters don't want Biden to run again in 2024, and a majority say the same about Trump. Again, this is some controversy that is going on right now between the one that did run and the ones running now. And people think we need some fresh meat. We need fresh people. We need fresh people running. But a lot of people say that about the Congress, the Senate. Why don't we do that with them? Why is it only the presidents who get to only run 1 or 2 terms? Something to think about. Let us know down in the comments below. So now, guys, on to the news that you came for. And here on the screen, we're going to read it and show you exactly all the updated news on the states that are sending out stimulus checks. So as you can see, 14 states have approved stimulus checks. Could Texas be next? Many of you guys have asked about Texas, and yes, they could be next. We know that there are 14 states that have already passed measures to pay residents in the form of rebates, direct payments, and more. At least 5 other states are considering similar actions. So you've got California, Colorado, Delaware, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, you've got Maine, you've got New Jersey, you've got New Mexico, Minnesota, South Carolina, Virginia. Now here are the states that are considering. You got Kansas, Kentucky, Massachusetts, you got North Carolina, and you have Pennsylvania. And of course, Texas was thrown up in the air thinking, could this state actually send something out? We know that many of you guys have asked for Texas. What is Texas doing? Are they going to send checks, and when are they going to make it happen? So guys, we showed you the states that are finally approving these stimulus checks to send to their residents. I hope that your state was on the list, and if it wasn't, let us know down in the comments below, and we'll do everything we can to do research on this side. Guys, I want to thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and of course, I left this until the end. If you really want to know about inflation, then guys, check this video out.
Inflation in the U.S. is the highest it's been in 4 decades, and new numbers out today give no reassurance it will let up soon. The Labor Department reported that consumer prices jumped 9.1% over last year, worse than economists had projected. Gas prices were up more than 11% in June. Furniture, clothing, healthcare, groceries, and cars grew more expensive as well. Beyond increases in food and energy prices, the core inflation index rose 0.7% over the previous month. To break down what this means for the economy and the American people, I'm joined by Greg Ip, Chief Economics Commentator at the Wall Street Journal. Greg Ip, welcome back to the NewsHour.
Thanks for having me.
So, not such good news, and it looks like this is across the board, that almost everything's getting more expensive.
I think that was what was disappointing and surprising, is that there really was no good news in this report. I mean, obviously the big increase came from energy and food. Gasoline, as everybody knows, has gotten a lot more expensive in recent months. That's what pushed us over the 9% level, the highest annual rate of inflation in over 40 years. Food was very expensive, like dairy products up like at least 1%. Most food categories up over 10% in the last year. But when you dig below those sort of more volatile categories, it's troubling that even things that normally don't move around very much are also steadily moving up. Like housing, the cost of shelter is up 6%. That's not just like renting an apartment, but it's also the way the government measures the price of owning your own home. And the troubling thing about that is twofold. First of all, it's a very big chunk of the basket of goods and services that people buy, so it has a big effect on inflation. And the second is it's very slow moving and very kind of like a super tanker. Once that number starts going, it tends to like stick around for a long time. So that means it could be a while before inflation comes back down.
Is it clear, Greg, what is driving these prices up, what the factors are behind this?
So I think by this point we can say there's a few things. First of all, clearly the war in Ukraine has contributed both to higher energy prices and to higher food prices, but that's only a little bit of the story. The other part of the story is that the economy has recovered very, very rapidly from the COVID shutdown. Part of that was fueled by low interest rates and government stimulus, and the economy has never fully managed to get the supply side working again. There are people missing from the labor force. There are supply chains that have not basically reasserted themselves. We're still selling fewer cars than we did 2 years ago because we still can't get enough parts.
So there are some experts out there, and you've seen them, who are saying, well, we're getting close to a peak, that inflation is going to start to come down. Do you see a sign of that?
Well, I was one of those people who said a few months ago that I thought we were close to a peak, and so I'm eating a little humble crow this afternoon. We're not at a peak yet. And again, the troubling thing is that some of those volatile categories that we thought were temporary are in fact coming down, but other factors like housing are there for a while. Look, the thing that will ultimately bring this down, I think, is two things. First of all, with a bit of time, some of those supply side problems, like with the cars, will correct themselves. But the bigger issue is that the Federal Reserve has to cool the economy down by raising interest rates. That's not a pleasant process. It usually means higher unemployment and slower growth and possibly a recession.
And I want to ask you about that because right now all eyes are on the Federal Reserve. Speculation they're going to need to raise interest rates, or they will raise interest rates even more than they had suggested they would. There is really no formula that's tried and true for the Fed, is there?
Well, there is. For example, Paul Volcker, when he came into office 40 years ago, his formula was raise those interest rates until the economy keels over and inflation falls. It has a little bit of that feel, if not quite as bad as that. Look, even after several increases, the federal funds interest rates are still extremely low. There's talk that they'll raise it at least a 0.75 percentage point in a couple of weeks. Some people think they'll raise it a full percentage point. But even if they do, the rate will still be below 3%, which is below the rate of inflation.
Right.
Everything we know tells us that rate has got to get above the rate of inflation to start slowing the economy down and acting on inflation.
Is it clear which is worse? rising inflation or a recession? I mean, is it clear that a recession is to be avoided at all costs, or that higher inflation is to be avoided at all costs?
Neither is very pleasant. American people have been through a lot of both in the last few years, and they don't really want either. But look, from the Federal Reserve's point of view, the choice isn't inflation or recession. It's deal with inflation now, even if it involves a recession, or deal with it later when inflation is higher and more entrenched and the recession will be even deeper. And let's not forget, recessions are hard on the people who lose their jobs, but inflation is hard on everybody, those who lose their jobs and those who keep their jobs, especially those on lower incomes, which spend especially large shares of their budget on things like food and gasoline.
So it sounds like you're saying whatever the Fed can do to get some kind of hold on inflation is going to be the priority.
I think what we could say in the past is that when inflation was always around 2% and sometimes was too low, the Fed had the luxury of doing everything it could to prevent recession and keep unemployment low. It doesn't have that luxury today. They don't want a recession, but if the only way to get inflation back down is to raise interest rates, slow demand, and as a result have a recession, that seems to be a price that they are willing to pay.
So after listening to that and really understanding from these people what's going on, how much does that change your mind about what should happen in this country? Guys, let me know down in the comments below. Stay tuned for more videos to come. Don't forget about the giveaways. And until next time, I'm John Muro. Peace!